to put my mask on?
Well, since you all are there together, that's what I mean.
I'm not that close to him.
He is breathing on me. Mama, she's touching me. She's touching me.
I'm gonna lock you in, man.
Okay. Don't lock the door.
No, it won't be locked, but,
Okay.
but we're gonna close it so you won't get disturbed by the guys out here.
All right. See your name down there, Frank.
Looking at my name as well. I don't see a picture, but I see you and your name, and Keldrick's, what Keldrick's name is, I see a picture of Tiger Woods in a red shirt.
Oh, it must be Sunday.
And I see Mr. Mills' name, but I don't see a picture of him.
I saw his name earlier.
Uh-oh. I wonder why.
Oh, there he's back up.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hey, Miss Bernie.
I hear Miss Bernie. I don't see her though.
I don't see me either. It's just got my name.
Yep, that's all I see. So you're in there. You only see my name, right?
I see Frank.
Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I just got something says start my video. Should I hit that?
Yes, because I just did.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Look at that.
Okay.
There you go, Mr. Chairman. All you have to do is
Peace,
swipe.
Frank.
I have.
But you're just gonna be limited to that 4 because you're on a phone.
Oh, I just get these 4?
Yeah, he'll move you around when necessary.
Oh, I see some more.
Oh, you see something?
Yeah, I see Frank. And I see Miss Bernie.
Okay.
Where are your glasses, Miss Bernie?
They're right here.
Okay.
But
And
I see you.
I see you. Hey, Mr. O'Neill.
Hello there, Bill. Where's your mask?
They've locked me in a room by myself.
You gonna still wear your mask, aren't you? Is that my music or yours?
And I see Mr. Funk with a purple car behind him. You see that?
Am I the only one hearing this music?
No.
No, I hear it.
So do I.
I think it's coming from.
I don't have a watch with me. Can somebody tell me when it's 4 o'clock?
You got 5 minutes.
All right, plenty of time.
I think we're just all trying to make sure we're on here.
What are you gonna ask her? We know what Bernie said she gonna do.
I see you, Miss Melanie.
How are you doing this afternoon, sir?
Praise the Lord, I'm absolutely wonderful.
Well, that is fantastic.
And you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good.
I'm very blessed to be here.
Yes, we are.
Absolutely.
We got all kinds of people in here now.
Got 3 more minutes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Bill Lee, it's Brian.
Hey, Brian.
I don't see Brian.
I see Bob.
Where's Brian?
Well, I can only see 4 at a time, so.
Still got 2 minutes.
Thank you, sir.
I hope everyone received the link because I did not. I called Miss Bernie and she forwarded it to me because I did not get it. I got something 3 o'clock this morning with Microsoft with a link, but the link that he sent today, I did not receive. And for what reason, I don't know. But that's why I called her and checked with her to see had she received anything. And she told me that she had. And she forwarded. That's how I got on. So I hope everyone else received it. 1 minute to go, sir.
Thank you, sir. We'll know when we call roll. I got mine this morning, a follow-up or a reminder from Eldrick.
I did too. Mine came at 9:05 this morning. That's what I forwarded to Mr. Middleton.
Well, I'm glad you did, and it seems to have worked.
It is now 4 p.m., sir.
Say again?
4 p.m.
It's 4 p.m. Well, let's do it. The Richmond County Board of Assessors monthly meeting, June 15th, 2020 is called to order. Ms. Coleman, would you do a roll call, please?
Yes. Roll call, beginning with Mr. Bill Lee.
Well, I'm here.
Mr. O'Neill,
Here.
Ms. Bernie,
Here,
Ms. DeAntonac. Ms. DeAntonac. Okay. Mr. Mills,
Here.
Mr. Middleton,
Here.
Mr. Scott, Mr. Scott, and Mr. Simpkins.
Here.
Okay, Ms. DeAntonac and Mr. Scott not on yet.
Have we got someone who can call them?
I'm sorry?
Have we got someone that can call those two? They might be having trouble getting on.
I know Renee was having trouble getting on. I'll check about Mr. Scott.
Okay. You can do that with all your other duties?
Yes, it's being recorded.
Okay, that's right. Well, today, this board meeting is the third time we are in a virtual environment as we adjust accordingly to the coronavirus impact. By the use of Zoom.us, board members and staff will conduct the business of the day as we would do under normal conditions. And for the public and media access, this meeting is also being live streamed by the use of YouTube. That said, first order of business is the approval of the agenda for June 15th, 2020.
So move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. All right. This is really awkward doing this on the phone and by computers. Approval of the minutes of the May 11th, 2020 meeting. Any questions on the minutes? Corrections?
I move to be approved.
Have a motion?
Second.
Got a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed is nay. Ayes have it. Committee reports. Specialized Assessment and Obsolescence Committee Chairman, Mr. Simpkins.
Mr. Chairman, we did not have a meeting per se, but there are two items that Mr. Roundtree will discuss, and during his report, that's a follow-up on what had already been discussed at prior meetings.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Simpkins?
No, sir, that's it.
Okay. Personnel Review Committee Chairman O'Neill.
Agenda item for an executive session following the agenda is up to date, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so you want to have an executive session after we finish with the regular agenda?
Yes.
Okay, I'll move it to there. Okay, we're going to spend the focus, or our focus, on the 2020 personnel and business property staff proposed digest. We'll also receive recommendations from real property, residential, commercial, and land regarding 2020 appeals to date. As such, we will address personnel property first, and the appeal recommendations will follow after we hear from each board member on their assigned accounts. Each were assigned 45 pages, and I was only assigned 32. Personal property, Ms. W.
Good afternoon. I first want to take the time to thank the board members for changing the meeting from last week to this week. It was very much appreciated. And we're going to be talking about our assessment change list, our homestead applications for 2020, our Freeport denial letters, and our regular staff recommendation that was in the packet sent out to all board members. So if you want to get started, we can start with the assessment change, or however you would like to go forward.
Yeah, let's do with the assessment change.
Okay.
Is this, make sure I'm reading this correctly. Is this the board members' homework?
Yes.
With that change, Mr. Chairman, you would move to your board work versus Ms. Bouge's going over your other files, which are on the board table that you reviewed earlier prior to the meeting.
That's the homestead exemption applications,
That is
report
correct.
denial letters are hard copied and on the conference room table, right?
Yes, sir. Those are the documents you reviewed because we're in this virtual environment and you're in the building, so you validated that those documents do exist.
I did see them.
At this point, you would then move on to your assigned ACL list.
Gotcha. So the first up is Mr. O'Neill. You had pages 1 through 45. Do you have any questions? Is everything good for you?
Yeah, most of it looked good. I had a couple of things that I kind of was not too clear on. One was we're showing addresses on a few of these properties as 0 city and 0 county as an address, and I didn't quite understand what that was about. And a couple of items here where it showed current value being, example on page 2, where it has 3 T brands. It shows current value of $1,407,000 and a change of a reduction down to $764,000. That was over $500,000 difference there. Wanted to know what that was about. And a couple of these on here who showed a previous value of, on page 6, advanced industrial maintenance shows a current previous value of $1,155,452 and a current value of $250. Now, those are things I was sort of unclear about why those numbers were so big.
All right, so we can start with the city county. Those are leasing companies. So we have to divide up the valuations between the city districts and the county districts. So there's many locations possibly for one owner that has leased equipment throughout the county and the city. You will also know that those are category 85s, which is the 4th column from your left. And that would tell you that those are leasing companies. So anything with this city county would be leasing. You also asked, does that answer your question on the city county?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your next question was about the 3T. I think it was on page 2. Their Freeport inventory decreased, so they had an inventory decrease on their account.
Okay.
And then on page 6, and what was the name of that business on page 6?
It was advanced industrial maintenance.
All right, let's see if we have anything.
Hey, Terry, I can help with that.
Okay.
Mr. O'Neill, the advanced industrial maintenance, there was also advanced industrial refrigeration. Both consolidated into an advanced industrial group. So both those accounts went down, and then there's a new account for advanced industrial group that's the combined between those two.
Okay. Okay. Would that be an answer to a few others that I saw with values, high values, and a drastic drop down to $1 on its current value? Would that be somewhat a situation that may have happened in those cases as well?
Those might have been amendment accounts, either Amendment 65 or Amendment 74. They have a 5-year period where they're on an account and they get a reduced millage rate. And so after those expires, we move those to the regular account, and then we'll put $1 on the account just to keep it open. I don't know, since I don't have one in particular, but that's kind of what we see with accounts that have $1. They're either to keep open or we've moved the values to another account.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Anything else, Mr. O'Neill?
I'm good. Thank you.
Very good. Ms. Burney.
Hello, I've only got one question. I spoke with Mr. Ross earlier today, and he was kind enough to answer some questions, so I wouldn't have to, be so long. But on page 51, there is an entry for Club Car, and they're down a negative 25 million. I'd kind of like to know what's going on right there.
All right, let me see if I can find that one. Now that is also a Freeport account.
Okay.
So I'll look and see if we have any notes on that particular one.
Terry, I can help with that one also.
Okay.
The Club Car just built a brand new massive warehouse out in Columbia County. And instead of leasing the space on Fort Augusta Drive, they have moved most of their stuff to their new warehouse out in Columbia County. So they had a little bit remaining this year, but majority of it has gone to Columbia County.
Okay, thank you. That's it for me, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Burney. And have we found Ms. Diatnak yet? Ms. Coleman?
Not yet. She's still working on it.
Okay. We'll skip down to Mr. Mills.
Okay, I have just one question that will clear up a lot of things. Have a company with the same address, but it has two different previous values and current values and assessment. Why we have the same address, but different values? It's on page 142.
Those could be like a gas station. Sometimes the equipment is owned by one company and the gas and the inventory is owned by another.
I may have misled you a little bit. No, it's not a service station, gas station. It's a printing company.
A printing company.
Yes.
All right, I've got it. So one of
Okay.
them is the regular account. So if it's not an Amendment 65 purchase, it's on one account. And then you'll see next to one of those, you'll see a 65 like in the middle of the page.
Correct.
That's an account. And so we hold those values on those accounts for a 5-year period to get a reduced millage rate. And then they'll fall back to the regular account.
Okay, thank you. That's the only question I had that would clear up some of the others.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Mills.
Okay.
Mr. Middleton?
Yes, Ms. W answered the question that I had. Everything else is okay.
Very good. And have we found Mr. Scott?
I have. You hear me? Yeah.
James?
Yeah.
Okay. You had pages 230 through 275. Do you have any questions?
No questions. All right with me.
Okay. Brian Simpkins.
Yes, sir. I had some questions, and I called today and got the majority of them answered. It was curious to me, though, and the pages that I had, that probably 98% of them, there was a reduction in the values. And I basically want to know maybe how that is going to affect our income stream. Is it going to be very negative effect or just not noticeable at all?
All right, so in looking at just several of those pages, I see that there's a lot of boat accounts on yours. So we use a pricing guide to price the boats and motors and any marine equipment, and those usually depreciate.
Okay.
And Mr. Simpkins, overall, the personal property had an increase this year, not a decrease. So
Thank you,
promising.
Melanie.
You're welcome.
I'll give you the aggregate of the report when I get to my side of the wall.
Good, thank you. That's, other than that, I had my other questions answered when I called in earlier.
Okay, thanks, Brian.
Yes, sir.
And me, 322 through 354, and I've been here since 2 o'clock and got all my answers to my questions done. So that finishes those up, except for Ms. Diatnak.
Ms. Diatnak is here.
She's here.
I'm here. Thank you so much. I had pages. I'm sorry.
92 through 137.
Correct. I called in earlier and I spoke with Scott and Melanie pertaining to my questions, and they assisted me with all the information that I was requesting. So I don't have any questions at this time.
Very good. Well, then let's move on. At this time, I already mentioned that I've, because of the virtual meeting, I tested the homestead exemption applications and the 2020 Freeport denial letters are in fact hard copied and on the board's conference room table, and other staff recommendations that are in the board's meeting package for personal property to be the official 2020 personal and business property digest files. If all concerns have been addressed, please give me a motion for consideration.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposes nay. Again, thank you, Ms. W., Ms. Oglesby,
Thank you.
and your staff personnel for the due diligence on this matter. Next is Project Center, Mr. Roundtree.
All right, good afternoon. I'll start off with the conservation use applications that we've got, and they are on the standard board work list. Let's see. So the first was an application for a contiguous covenant with a parcel that is in Burke County. The conservation use in Burke County with this property owner began in 2013, and they acquired an additional 22 acres adjacent to it that's in Richmond County. And we are recommending an approval of that covenant that will begin in the same time frame of the other one in Burke County, which is 2013. And it'll be new on our digest for this year. The second is a continuation due to a change of ownership. It was just a percentage ownership was transferred to a family member of the original covenant owner, and we're recommending an approval of that continuation. And we have two taxability appeals and applications that came in through the appeal process. The first is on Madeline Drive near Fort Gordon. And this is a building that was already occupied by the Boy Scouts Regional Council, and they acquired it last year. And the building is used exclusively for Boy Scouts. It is their regional office and scout shop. And we're going to recommend a E3 exemption on that parcel. The next one was a little funny. So 4254 Windsor Spring Road. This property is a church, Tender Sprout Christian Life Center. And I received an appeal and an affidavit from the property owners, Kenneth and Patricia Rental Properties, LLC. Patricia Presley is owner and agent of that LLC. And I'll read my notes here. Last year, and I looked it up, there's about 12 properties that Patricia Presley owned individually that were rental properties. This church was not one of those rental properties, although she is an officer of the church. And during the closing for those rental properties, a transfer deed was accidentally included for this church. And she provided an affidavit showing that it was inadvertently transferred without intent of doing so. It was not approved by the church. She subsequently realized that mistake and has immediately transferred the property back into the name of Tender Sprout Christian Life Center. And again, at no time did the use of the property change from a church. So we were also recommending the reinstatement of that exemption to Tender Sprout Christian Life Center. And that's all the board work I have to present today. So if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions?
I don't have any questions. I called in prior to the meeting and I spoke with Mr. Scott pertaining to these two particular items that are on the agenda, and they were explained to me, so I don't have any questions pertaining to this at this time.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Well, thank you, Mr. Roundtree.
Thank you.
Next is Commercial Audit and Auditor, Brian Funk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. I believe you've already approved all the hard work that the auditors have done. I did want to make mention to the board. I know, again, it's already approved, but, you know, I have thanked the auditing staff multiple times and the personal property staff through this COVID-19 issue. This whole digest got done by a lot of carrying things home, a lot of 1 day, 2 days in the office trying to get entry done. But it's thanks to the great staff we have that they got it done. As far as commercial goes, there are a few recommendations on your board work of multiple withdrawals, a couple resolves, just correction of data. But if there's any specific questions anyone has, I'll be happy to address those.
Any questions?
None at this time.
Well, Mr. Funk, thank you, and thanks to everybody for the hard work that they put in the getting around the virus and still getting all of our work done. The Department of Revenue didn't cut us much slack. So y'all have done yeoman's work. Thank you. Residential, Ms. Greer. Nancy.
I apologize. You have before you today some error and facts that we had to get cleaned up. From
Nancy, we can barely hear you.
Okay. Is it better?
No.
No. Huh. I don't, can you hear me at all now?
A little bit better, I think.
Okay, how about now? Is that better?
No.
I don't know. What else? Keldrick, what do I need to do? Hell.
Just speak closer to the mic.
Okay. And up there. Guess that's this. Okay. You have before you today from residential. Can you hear better that way?
A little bit.
Is the error of facts for multiple reasons, clearing up some Senate Bill 346 sales, some code enforcement issues that we're working hand in hand with them on. And then you also have before you all the appeals that we've worked so far in this appeal season. As a matter of fact, we're up to date with all the appeals that we're getting in. We're working them as we get them in. So you'll have a lot of withdrawals, recommend, you have some BOE, and you have resolved, which are also withdrawed. And that's all we have.
Any questions? Well, thank you, Ms. Greer.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll entertain a motion for adopting staff recommendations from Project Center, commercial auditors, and residential divisions.
Mr. Chairman?
I move that we,
Yes.
I move that we accept the staff recommendations.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes nay. Ayes have it. Okay. Chief Appraisers report. Chief, you're up.
Good afternoon to all the board members. Again, Mr. Chairman, thank you for your presence here with us today. Thank you, staff, for the updates you're just receiving, and we're going to try to move through updating you on all the operations. It was mentioned to you earlier about COVID. For those who haven't been with us, we're going to flash up a few photos so you can see some of the quick changes we put in place. That view is coming into the front customer service area you're looking at, limiting 2 persons into the area at one time. That is permanent sneeze protection. That is the conference room at the far side that's behind the customer service. That is the interior office staff. Those are movable objects that you see that whenever we let people back on this side of the wall, staff will be able to talk to them. And that's a desk model that you see Ms. Greer sitting at. Again, Mr. Funk. That'll be Ms. Oglesby disappearing. That's what your boardroom looks like right now. So when you guys decide to come by, it's movable, but it allows for a divider down the middle as well as section themselves. That's fine, Keldred, let's move on. Not only is the staff, not only has the board been in Zoom meeting, but we've used various techniques with the staff. This is just what was pumped up as we attempted to deal with staff as well as over at the courts with the Hattie Sullivan and her team as a means of getting us through this process. Certainly communications have not ceased. However, we've had to be innovative in multiple levels. You can move on, Keldrick, to keep everyone on the same page. Thank you. This is communicating with the courts, trying to get them estimates on projecting in this reval environment what we anticipated. I ran my scenarios, Project Central, where Scott ran his. And to be honest with you, we projected that we would be out at a midpoint of approximately 3,500 appeals, but we got 2 weeks to go. I'm pleased to tell you that we will not make those kind of numbers. You can move on. I sent this information out to board members just as a reminder. We had cancellations of BOE training here in August, which led my concerns as to how long is it going to be before Norm sets back in for courses. We're pleased to announce, you can see the 6 board members whom the Department of Revenue has indicated that your certification is good through December of 2020. Scroll down a little bit. I don't know why they separated Ms. Barney, because they said she needs 40 hours by the end of 2021. So if she get 20 hours in 20 and 20 hours in 21, it's the same difference. And then of course, Mr. Mills, as the newest board member, is already in the process of full certification. And I believe he has communicated with Ms. Coleman regarding possibly online on the exempt properties workshop. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Mills.
You're correct.
Thank you very much, sir. You can move to the next one. Just a reminder that there have been some modifications along this process. However, this is to reemphasize that there has been no extensions for the property filing submissions. Move on, please, Cedric. One of the things that I copied you on is our petition. We are in the process of getting ready to hire a property appraiser 2, and for proper staffing and locations, we've deferred, but I need to create a manager's office suite for the commercial auditor's manager, Mr. Funk. those documents that were sent to you provides a layout of the floor plan, estimated furniture issues, and provided also notice of the available funds in salary savings to date that came in from finance. If you need for me to resend this out to you, we are in a pending mode right now. The process of a BTR request to get this done. Finance indicated that salary savings could not be used for a capital project. And rather than it moving on to the other parties, because they took that position, it then became dead in the water. So we reinstituted a request back to the administrator that if other means are necessary to make the need happen, at least give us opportunity to talk to them about it versus a policy that will outright kill the need that was petitioned through finance. Move on to the next one, sir. There is the petition on up to Mr. Sims, in which at the end of the day, I pointed out to him, and I'll show you in graphics later, that the current 2020 operational allocations for this office is less than the 2009 level at this point in time. I have yet to get a response, even though I sent a follow-up on Saturday, but I will get a response hopefully very shortly regarding this matter to meet that need. Next one, sir. You can move to the next one. That was on to the commissioners to bring it to their attention. So as we move forward. Just wanted to give you a brief. I cut and paste the information technology things that have occurred here in the office, flipped through a couple of pages for me there. So this is coming from Miss Allen. You can move on through it, please. Thank you. The items are coming up. You'll see tax assessors. Mr. Height, if you would go back to the file that you were on before you moved, please. The previous file, please. The previous file, please. If you would scroll down to where it says tax assessors. Coming up. Those are the items that have been processed out through IT that we might make the necessary changes that are infecting so many of our operations now. That goes back to some of the things you heard about the appeal process, and all appeals principally have been worked as they come through the door. Scroll down a little bit more. I think there are a few more up under there before you go to the tax commissioner. Thanks a lot. Next one, please. Today, your fuel cost issues, there was no fuel usage in April due to COVID and the shutdown. We're well under the budget, only using 38.8% to date. And just as a reminder, our budget is 12.35% less than it was back in 2011. Even though we're doing a lot more field work and reviews, it's just that we're controlling how those elements are done. And people are not going back and forth to the same parcel 3, 4, and sometimes 5 times in a year to conclude evaluation. Next page, please. What you're looking at now is good news, a trending of your return mail with the help of Project Central. There was a few actions done over there this year. And I'm gonna let Scott kind of just give you a nudge of what happened over there. But we're down 17% from the prior year. Go ahead, Scott.
So for the return mail, our annual return mail statistics were fairly consistent above 4%. So what we did in the last year or so, and it'll continue, is trying to find pieces of mail that are returned over and over and over again, year after year, and trying to address those or readdress them. And then this year, we're also collecting the mail and categorizing them by the return mail postage stamp that's on there from the post office that gives a little more information on why it was returned, so that we could kind of focus our efforts on trying to correct those that we actually have a chance to correct. That's about it. Just trying to reduce these numbers and waste less postage.
Thank you, Scott. Scroll down a little bit, Keldrick, and you can get a historical look that we've been averaging 4.46. But over 7 years, that's 77,860 pieces of mail that came back here. That makes for a fun day. On to the next one, man. Your movement historically of your digest growth since 2011. I think the picture speaks for itself. That blue line represents a gross movement, and the green line represents your net. Decreasing valuations are slightly down this year, but it's pretty much a straight line, the typical type of reductions that are going on for all kind of reasons out there. But as you can see, your net growth digest, this is for real property. Real property only is up 10.72%. Next one, please. Yes, that's the one. This is just a recap. There's your 10.72% that all happened up on the real. If you scroll down for me, Mr. Height, stop at the sector right there. The personal property has now been injected into that value. If you look over the personal property move is up 1.40% over the previous year, 2.814 billion up to 2.854 billion. And that 39,350,000 represent net growth. Actually, they were up 68 million, but the other portions of that what went over to Freeport. Scroll further down, please. You can bypass the real property information. We discussed that previously. At this point in time, with personal property in place, what you're looking at now is the movement estimates on your entire digest. Up by $1.13 billion or 8.09%. And you can see you move from 13.984 billion to 15.152 billion. Next file, please. We thought we'd reach back and give you guys a closer look at personal property as well. And I must admit, after thinking about it a little bit more, we're going to update this file to show you what 2015 was before you saw that jump in 2016. And then all of a sudden it disappeared in 2017. But over time, we're going to start showing you the movement of the personal property positions as well. We're pretty much back where we were in prior to the jump of the 16 move. Next file, please. The appeal limitations, yes. Based on your current parcel count, the submissible benchmark is the 3%. However, in a non-reval year under new regulations, you can be up as much as 5% under appeal and still submit. That's in a reval year. In a non-reval year, as much as 8%. And so we just want to share, if you keep in mind, the 4,078 parcel counts is the cap, and under the VIP value in dispute, we will have to be above $757.6 million not to be able to submit. Next one, please. Kind of keep that in mind, because we're going to update you on some stuff. Stay right there for a minute. This is the update to let the courts know what we are projecting at this time to be significantly under that midpoint of 3,500 that'll be coming to them. We anticipate that at the July board meeting, your no value changes that are automatically sent to the BOE will be certified by the Board of Assessors. Click on the 4-week summary, please. As of Friday, 232 appeals. Knock on wood, everybody. Unbelievable.
That is unbelievably low.
It is unbelievable. Obviously, we got 2 weeks to go, but that is the trending pattern that has come in so far. 88 of the 124 initiated online have been filed. 55 walk-ins, 62 by mail, 3 by fax, and 24 by email. Next page on that one, please. Overall, the staff has worked up 86.64% of the appeals as they've hit the door. That's really not accurate. The 31 active appeals that you see pretty much have been all worked by staff. It's just that they're not in a position to change the appeal status at this point in time, as they're waiting for a reply from a taxpayer and or additional research. But for the most part, those 31 active appeals, most of those pretty much have all been worked as well. But we only count the status change of the appeal. And so the 30 days have been worked up. The Board of Equalization, no value changes have worked. Resolves or changes that have been made and the owners have withdrawn, and withdrawn other cases where there was no change and the owners still have withdrawn. Next page, please. This gives you a great graphic. The light blue shows where the values were in 2019. The dark blue reflects the 2020 values that were approved by the Board of Assessors. These are all the accounts that are currently under appeal. The orange represents the inserted value of the ownership, and the purple represents the current value of that which went under appeal. Where are we right now? So when you look down, the 154.5 versus the 164.6 is the difference between the 10,152,000 that we've lost in the value. But what it's telling you, in other words, your 2020 value was 111.7% above the prior year. And even at the appeal level right now, your valuation is still 98.66% above where it was a year ago, up by $76.7 million. To your right, in the bottom corner, it's just a movement of that value in dispute from the time it starts. And the blue line on the side shows you the level that we're at now. It'll show more graphically in the next page. Would you turn for me? Remember the 4,000 plus parcel count we had to get to not to be submissible? Look at your 232 or the 5% measurement, we're at 0.28%. In terms of value in dispute, you're at 63.4 million, well off the 700 plus million. And so you're at 0.42%. With 2 weeks to go, I would suggest that we'd be prepared to turn the digest over to get ready to go to the Department of Audits, Department of Revenue. We will be in a submissible position unless the bottom falls out. Next file, please. What we're going to request, working with the courts this year to avoid some of the issues we had on when was the notice actually mailed. Open up the attachment for me. Is we're going to present that a hearing officer sign-off sheet be done, in which all parties will acknowledge and receive a copy of it. And therefore, the 30 days to act, to go to court, starts from the date of that actual hearing decision and a sign-off by the hearing officer to all parties. We've had some troubles with cases being filed in the court. The information we have saying it was certified and mailed on a certain date, turned out it was mailed 11 days later, which invalidates our argument that the 30 days were passed. And so we've had to reverse actions and grant extensions to go into court. And this is a move to hopefully avoid that going forward. Next page, sir. Just want to remind you that the digest submission under COVID has provided no extensions. We are constantly making communications with the department regarding these matters. You're gonna have to open up that attachment for me. That's your digest submission package for 2020, 97 pages. If you like, Mr. Chairman, I'd be more than glad to scroll through each and every one and give you an idea of what's necessary. Just kidding. Close that for me, Keldrick. Here's coming the good news. The file on the left, that's my notice to the staff. Of course, I sent this out to the board. Scroll down till you get to the stats. That's from the Department of Audit 2019. We are coming in at 38.02. That equates to 100% estimated digest. I showed you guys earlier at 13.9 to actually 14.1 based upon ratio positioning. Okay, scroll down a little bit more, sir. Please keep going. There's your full study for your residential, ag, and commercial. If you look at your medium, everything on the ag and residential is above 39. Commercial industrials are below. If you look at your CODs, residential and ag are below the 15% of measurement, and commercial industrials are below the 20% measurement, making them all good. And your PRDs are all below 110, making them all good. Your digest for 2019, residential comprised of 48.51%, commercial 37.95, industrials 9.21, public utility 3.33, and ag 1.01. Scroll a little bit more for me. I believe that's going to cover the principles to it. Because of that, your public utility equalized ratio, I don't know why it came in at 38.01 when in fact they measured 38.02. But we got by about a hair out chin, but public utilities will be assessed at 40% by law when we are 38 and above. And that only reemphasizes that we are moving with reval work before we get back to our next 3-year full digest review, which is digest year 2021. You can close that file for me. I sent that to all the board members. The file on the right is just a listing of all of the counties in the state of Georgia and all the districts. And you can scroll through and look at every county and see where everybody's at. Some are actually below 30, below the 38 mark. Some in the 36 mark, which are jeopardizing the 1/4 meal recovery. And there's your Richmond County showing up at 3802. Thank you, Keldra. On to the next one. This was just to remind you guys, we are now getting started with the 2020. Forgive me for saying, please excuse the request below when I send it to my team member. It should be, please execute. But we've already provided them information regarding the 2020 study, which was a list of properties. You can close that, sir. List of properties that they will actually do appraisals on for your 2020 study. Hit on that link for me right there, sir, where it says Schubert is odd timing. I got a great hit from somebody that just wanted to remind us what happened in Richmond County back in 1980. That was in the Athens paper. And we've received a few notices from taxpayers here who have referred to this article regarding their 2020 assessment notice. So you're talking 40 years ago, when Gene Meade was your chief appraiser, the kind of fun activity that was had by all when we sent out the annual assessment notice. Mr. Chairman, unless there's some questions to address, that is the update on staff operations. I want to thank you and the board for your work regarding business personal property. That is the last piece of the digest for submission. The deadline to have it down the hall to the Tax Commissioner is July 15. At that time, Mr. Chairman, come July, in your meeting, we will seek your permission to do so, unless the board wishes to immediately have it sent at the end of the appeal filing period for real property, which is June 29. That's a good idea, I think, if the board wishes to grant us the right to submit the digest reasonably after the deadline filing period.
Okay. July 15th is the filing period?
July 29 is the
right.
deadline for filing appeals.
Okay.
We generally will defer for the rest of the week in case we get some mail to come in that's postmarked correctly. So if you desire, we wait until after the board meeting in July to submit the digest, we'll do so. If you want to authorize us to go ahead and submit the digest upon the completion of appeals being entered, we can also do that.
What's your preference, Mr. Ross?
My preference
Good question,
is,
Ms. Birdie.
Thank you, Ms. Barney. My preference would be to submit as soon as possible.
Then, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that it be submitted as soon as possible.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposes nay. The ayes have it. Thank you, Mrs. Birdie.
Thank you, Ms. Barney and board members.
I have one question. For the conclusion of your report, Mr. Ross, and it's just a interest question. Has any staff voiced any stressors or concerns to you as they have had to operate under COVID guidelines?
I think the proper answer is no, Ms. Barney. However, we have worked with a couple of the younger staff members with children. We currently are accommodating one male whom a wife just had a child. We have one person who is struggling with getting child care, but we are working them through the proper procedures of HR. They have not returned, except for the one day of May 18th when the office originally opened up to the public. But overall, I have to accommodate the staff. They work with me during this entire period. We worked at minimum levels from March 17 through May 18th. Mr. Font referred to auditors and personal property personnel. In fact, I had a picture, I should have had it in there, where they were rolling accounts out in wheelchairs, okay, to take home so that we can marginalize the number of people who was in the square. We showed you the pictures that we've done the best we could to protect with sneeze guards. I've taken a position until such time that we have to. We're not even allowing the general public into the work area. The most they can get to is customer service. We've had no issues with any of the taxpayers regarding that. We are affording all the possibilities of how you can file an appeal, where in some counties, they're saying they're not even open. You can drop it off at the front door. We have 5 mechanisms. Keldred, if you will open back up the appeal file for me. There are 5 mechanisms that we accommodate. The traditional walk-in, fax in, email in. There they are, online, mail in, walk in, email, fax it. So we've made all the possible accommodations to the public to try to accommodate their right of appeal. In fact, what you're seeing is an update, I see, because we showed you 232. He just updated you. That's live to include what has happened today. We're up to 246, Mr. Height.
Yes, sir.
He's updating it as we speak. Well, since we're on an update, scroll down. So that means I got 13 in so far today. If you look at, if you pause with me, Mr. Chairman, you're gonna get to see your system in process. It's going through your entire database right now, and it only takes a few seconds. The first week you had 68, the second week 70, the third week 49, last week 46, and as of today you got 13. Scroll down all the way to the VIP, value in dispute. There's your new numbers. We have not broken 1% yet. We're a long
That's
way
amazing.
It went through your database just that fast. That is called BI, Business Intelligence, online service. We got security clearances through HR Augusta. It would take me days to generally get this done. And now we get it done in a matter of seconds, thanks to Project Central. Since I'm glad we went back there on your question, Ms. Barney, and so it allowed the opportunity to see just how fast we move data. We don't reproduce data. We abstract data from our database system. And we're trying to move all components of the office so that we can tell you in a moment's notice, not only these aspects or what's happening in real, but we'll be able to do it in business personal property as well. We'll be able to do it with transfers and sales analysts and even GIS operations. And we hope in the coming months, we will elevate all those positionings as we move towards September and start preparing for the implementation of the new CAML system, IAS World, which in itself is going to produce some real game changers on how fast we produce in real time, coming from the courts into updating ownership records in our files versus backing up reels for weeks. And we ended up, Terry, what's an average for a real number to come over here? Terry?
Well, thank you very much. The other thing is the employee that is having the child care issue. There's something that I'm aware of, if it's still in effect, that may be beneficial to that employee. I'm going to check it out. And if it is, I will email you the information.
Thank you so much, Ms. Barney. Right now, my general understanding, they still is getting compensation. It's not full compensation. And they're still eligible for out through August, I believe is the date that we were told by HR.
Okay, well, if it looks like it's viable, I'll send it to you.
Thank you so much. That's all we have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. So allow me to, on behalf of the entire board of assessors, to again thank the IT Augusta, our staff, the property appraisal office, for making it possible for us to do what we do today, as awkward as it is on these computers. Are there any other board member comments or updates at this time? Hearing none. If you remember from when we set up the agenda, that we're going to go into executive session there, and when we do, the live streaming on YouTube will be put in a pause position for the general public following the motion and the second to go into executive session. Once the board is out of executive session, YouTube will become live again. But before we do, I'm pleased to announce that the office is still managing themselves with social distancing and taking into account all safety measures and staying safe regarding the COVID-19. And this is just, they've worked around it. We've done really good to get what we've gotten done. Or let me rephrase that. They've done really good to get what needs to be done under these conditions. That's it. I'm seeking a motion to go into executive session.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to offer a motion to go into executive session for discussion or deliberation on the appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, disciplinary action, or dismissal or periodic evaluation or rating of a county officer or employee as provided in OCGA 50-14-3, paragraph 6.
Here you go. We have a motion. I have a second?
Second.
Very good. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposes nay. Ayes have it. Okay, I guess there's gonna be some changing around somewhere. Okay, I guess we need to go to the breakout room. Join.
Kurt, Ms. Hyde, you need to take me out until such time the board so I can come in.
I just sent all of them to a breakout room.
Well, you did not send,
He has to join.
say what?
He has to join. I sent him the message everybody to join except him. So
Well, how
everybody's
you,
in there.
well, how you gonna get him in?
He has to join it.
Well, can you pick up the phone and call him and tell him how to do it?
Yep.
I remind you, they are not at the same level as you, so I need for you to get him in there.
I need you.
He's working on getting Mr. Scott in.
Okay, I need the stuff you sent out on the evaluation, the letter. A copy of it.
Hey, Keldrick,
Yes, sir.
did you, I'm assuming you got him in there?
He got himself in there.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay. How do you know when to bring them out and bring them back to this meeting?
Nietta's gonna send me a message.
Okay, cool. Okay, dokie. Then I'll hold on till they come out.
All right.
Okay. Okay, Coleman.
On. Is everyone there?
There we are.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Lee?
I'm back. Did you miss me?
Okay, I hear you. I
Okay.
move the board approve the closed meeting affidavit and the chairman be authorized to execute the same.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Ayes. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Very good. And then, let me see here, execute session, executive session. I am seeking a motion to approve the board chairman's authorization to execute the boards of assessors' actions regarding Mr. Ross's annual merit review, which is what we discussed. I need a motion.
A second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposes nay. Ayes have it. Anybody else have anything else they want to say? Let me ask this. This is now our third meeting using this system. I don't know what's going to happen. I guess none of us do with this virus. Do we just want to wait till the beginning of next month, July, and decide whether we're going to do it through the Zoom or we're all going to gather together behind plexiglass at the board meeting room? Is that okay with everybody?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to wait and see
That's what
until
I
it
was
gets
saying.
closer to meeting time so that, we can determine at that time.
Yeah,
what
I agree with that.
the move is like.
Is everybody okay with that?
I agree with that.
Yes.
Very good. Well, with all that done, Mr. Mills, I think you're up.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I motion that we adjourn this meeting.
We have a motion to adjourn. No discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes nay. Ayes have it. We're adjourned. And Mr. Mills,
Yes, sir.
I like your scruffy